What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're working on a special project. Check this thing out. So this is a friend's car. We're gonna do a whole new wire harness to it. We're gonna add seat belts to the seats and mount them on a better structure configuration, because right now it's just bolted to thin sheet metal. That cannot continue, and a whole new harness because the car currently does not have any brake lights, signal lights, any of that, and it looks like a rat's nest under the dash. I hope to get to other things like fixing some oil leaks, but we'll see how far we get. Should be fun. Let's get to it. I was wrong. This is not fun at all. I know they had day in Florida. It's like hell in here. But yeah, we're gonna start with the seats. Take those out. I actually have some material here. We're going to use this 1/2 by 2 inch 36. They are C channels, 1/8 of an inch thick. They're pretty strong. So that's gonna run below each seat where the 2 bolts are gonna come down through this, and this is gonna be like one long, essentially a washer. It's gonna sandwich the seat, the floor, and this thing. It's gonna make it a lot stronger than what it is right now. And then we're going to be installing this seat belt, which are more like lap belts, but it's better than not having anything, because the owner does not want to die, and I don't blame him. Right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that seat out. I pulled the nuts out. A lot of them were finger tight, which is even scarier. Man, it's lucky that he never got into any sort of wreck with this thing, but it is what it is. We're gonna make it better. And after I'm done with that, I'm gonna do the whole harness on this thing and take care of some leaks. So you can see right there on the floor, that's transmission fluid. So take the transmission pan down and put new sealer on it, and she should be good for the road again. All right, one thing I want to do is I want to mark here with this white pen where the bolt goes, because when I take the seat out, you're gonna see they made sweet cheese out of this damn floor, man. They got yeah, this floor is super flimsy. This is gonna get loud. There you go. That wasn't so bad. So I think that the first time he installed the floor, the seat on the floor, he didn't like the orientation, and he made new holes. And yeah, I'll show you that now. So you can see here, we got 2 sets of holes on the floor. So I marked with a Sharpie the correct ones. So when I place those spots on the added metal, is gonna be on the right spot and not the wrong one. So So after reviewing this a little further, I think the best spot for seat belts is not here and here. That's too far forward on the seat. I don't think that's gonna really hold your lap back against the seat. So if I look further back, I can see these piece of square tubing here. That's where I'm gonna mount it, and that sits just enough behind the seat. It's somewhere here, where the seat belt is actually gonna come over here and, you know, strap the person back into the seat. So I think that's where I'm gonna go with that, and it's got enough structural support to hold it. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill those holes and show you what that looks like. So we got the seat belts hooked up. They got a lot of adjustment on them. The seats are mounted. Still gotta weld the bottom, but they're mounted. They're nice and solid now. And then, oh, I added this. I didn't record that because it was pretty simple. These door panels, powder coated green. They're bright as hell. The camera's having a hard time picking up the color, but they're riveted on the door on both sides, so that's done. All right, on to the next job. The next thing I gotta do on it is I gotta do the whole wire harness. So he bought a kit for this. Check it out. So this is what they call the painless wiring. It's right there. It's pretty much for like an old school car. It comes with your fuse box already pre-wired. All the wires got written on it. This edge on the wire where they gotta go. So it's kind of simple, but you still gotta figure out what the hell is going on with the harness that's on the car right now. So my first step here is to start taking apart the harness and label everything, because I don't know what the hell's going on with this car. There's a bunch of sketchy shit, and I need to figure out where it'll go. Starting with the rat nest down there. So, lucky me, wish me some luck, and let's see what I can do here. Alright, got the whole harness from the engine and headlights and tail lights here. So now I gotta start undoing this brass nest down here and figure out what all of this does. Alright, there goes the harness. I make sure to label everything. That way I can, you know, stretch it out, study it, see where everything is going, even though this is pretty simple. But you know, I would like to match it as much as possible. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm not gonna have the fuse box on the driver's side anymore. That thing is so packed in here. You see, there's barely any room with the two pedals there, and adding all this wiring here. I think I'm just gonna use the passenger footwell for this. It's more room. Pedals are not in the way. And he barely has a passenger with him. It's mostly him, and the passenger doesn't need to have their feet all the way up there anyway. But definitely gonna be a better option to have it on that side. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. So I'm gonna start with the gauges. I'm gonna do everything in sub harnesses, and we're just gonna be hooked together with clips. With connections, Deutsch connections, which they're getting here in the mail. So what I did first is I wrote down what all those wires on the existing harness are and what they all do. These are my gauges. I made some notes here of the type of connections that they all got. Then I took measurements of how long my wires need to be, and these are going to be the new colors, which I got them all already cut to length here in my hand. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this together. Alright, I think you can tell that's looking different. Barely any difference between the two of them, honestly. But, you know, I think mine is better. Just know that despite what the floor says, I got everything ran. That's the old harness. We're not gonna talk about that rat's nest, but let me show you what I got going on. So everything is grouped and where it's gotta go. This is a harness. I did a harness on both sides of the engine. One here, this is mainly sensors and headlights. The one on the other side is main power, starter, alternator. Keep that separate over there. Make the bulk a little less bulky. And over here you can see I got everything separated. This is for the signal lights. This is for regular lights. Then I got here the key, ignition. Everything is held together right now with zip ties to get it to where they need to go. This one here goes to the back of the car, which we come over here, and I got it here all held with zip ties as well. Left signal, right signal, brakes, fuel level. We come over here, kind of the same deal. That's the harness that goes to the engine for power. That's my fuse box. If it'll get lighter, there you go. Fuse box is mounted there, out of the way, and everything is, you know, is ready. So now what I gotta do is I gotta pull this thing out, loom it so it looks nice. Now that I got the length of everything where it needs to go, and then start pinning everything and put connectors on it. This harness says 2 to 3 hours to get it all installed. I call bullshit, at least for me. I mean, 2 hours was taking the old harness out of the car by itself. And then, you know, making a plan on your head where everything goes and where you're gonna run everything, that's another 2 hours right there. I mean, 2 to 3 hours, yeah, a very junky setup like this, where you don't trim anything to length, you just coil it up and stick it under the dash. Yeah, I can see that taking 2 to 3 hours, maybe. Even then, I think it's a little quick. Maybe if you've done many of these, you can do it in that time frame. But anyways, just a little rant. It's definitely not 2 to 3 hours. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm already in like 6, 7 hours to get to this point. Now I gotta go ahead and loom it. That's probably gonna take me 2 hours, and get it installed back up again. So all in, I'd say 8 to 10 hours is a solid time frame to wire a whole car. At least this car, not a modern ECU EFI car. This old school stuff, very little wiring. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Let me do some cleanup and get going on that loom. All right, guys, I skipped you all the boring stuff. So this, what you see here, is pretty much the finalized harness. I just need to terminate it. A lot of this stuff is like one of those old school pushing connectors, and the others are like you gotta put the little I don't know what the hell they're called. They go over a bolt and you gotta hold it down with a nut. That type of connection, the little eye at the ends. So that's pretty much it. Very few of these are gonna have an actual Dodge connector at the end. But yep, she's ready, so I'm gonna go ahead and put her all back on the car and start doing all the terminals. Alrighty guys, so I just tested everything. The lights work as they should. The only thing that's not working right now is the brake lights, and I think it's because that switch is like a hydraulic switch. When you press on the brake, it just sends a signal back. I think that is faulty. I gotta do some digging on that, see what the hell's going on, because everything else works. Signal lights work, city light, all the gauges inside, even the car turns on and runs, so everything is working as it should. I just gotta figure out what the hell's going on with that brake light. Alright, so I just confirmed the problem is the actual brake switch sensor here. If you can see it, this thing right there, that. So that guy, when you press on the brake, it senses pressure, fluid pressure here, and it sends the signal through. This is like a, it almost works like a ABS pump, where you got one line going in and two going out, and there is also a regulator there for brake bias, like front and rear, and then it's got that sensor over there. So that's the guy that's faulty, is now sending the power through. So with that, the owner has one last request to move the battery box from right next to the fuel tank to behind the front seat. He's afraid that if he gets into a rear end crash, that something's gonna spark in there and blow the whole thing up. So everything is inside this coffin looking box. You see the battery there, which is in his own plastic container, and the fuel tank right next to it. So that guy's gonna get out of there and move down there behind the seats. Well, more surprises. The battery box was just being held by those tiny little screws and a strap. See those? Those two screws held down that strap, and that strap was holding everything together. Nice. Alright, battery relocated just like that. Just behind the seat. Seat, I pushed it back into its driving position. We got room, not touching anywhere. I got the cables coming to the back wall there with the fuel focus through some rubber grommets so they don't cut the wire. Yep, good to go.
Why so serious?
Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you on the next one.